in the Chinese internet, they use this very poetic language to refer to the Palestinian fighters. And they refer to the fighters as dandelions, the flower dandelion. So the Israeli embassy in China has been very busy following October 7th until basically today. And after the October 7th, they're trying to force the Chinese government to condemn the attack, which the Chinese government refused. And so they turned to the public. They started to publish their own diplomatic statement on Chinese social media. As you know, like China has its own social media system. So we don't use Twitter. We use this one important platform called Weibo. It's basically a Chinese version of Twitter. And the Israelis, their embassy and consulate, each of them have one account, one official account on this platform. So they started to spread a lot of public criticism to the Chinese official diplomatic stance, which is very rare in China's diplomatic protocol experience because it's a totally China-controlled platform. Normally, foreign embassies they just tweet something like for protocol for like ritual type of thing, like saying like Happy New Year or something like that on those social media. They don't publicize their disagreement or dispute with the Chinese government. But Israelis are doing that. They started to spread misinformation, trying to kidnap the Chinese public opinion on the Israeli side. The most important case is one of the hostages who was held in Gaza. Name is Noah Argamani. She's Her mother is Chinese and she's an Israeli citizen. While the Israeli embassy was claiming that she's Chinese national. And this is just not a correct information. This is a false information. And the Israelis probably know this from the beginning, but they don't care. And then all of those official accounts of the Israeli embassy have been emphasizing that, oh, we have a Chinese national being kidnapped in Gaza, and Chinese government should come out and do things. And some of the Chinese netizens just got cheated by this misinformation and believed that and started to like saying a lot of things like asking the government to like either condemn the attack or like try to collaborate with the Israelis. And the one most interesting post made by the Israelis is like by the Israeli official embassy is like they like portray Netanyahu as some sort of philanthropist gentleman that his heart was broken after he saw this news of the kidnap, so that he reached out to the Chinese and asking like pleading the Chinese to help without diplomatic norms, like just because this thing is so important. It's a common national of both China and Israel. That's the rhetoric that they used in the propaganda. And this thing became so important that the Chinese official spokesman of the foreign ministry had to answer to this question in Q&As, and the Chinese official media interviewed the mother of the hostage. And this thing later ended very badly because the mother of the hostage was basically telling the cameras as, yes, I'm Israeli and you Chinese have to help me. It's your responsibility and we don't care. And that thing is just like making the nationalist sentiment of her supporters like fading away, right? Because they support this thing because they thought, oh, it's national of China, and then later they found out that's not the case, and probably they are not sharing the same nationalist sentiment. So this thing ended quite badly, and also. Another type of spreading misinformation is spreading misinformation about what is happening in Gaza. Like the Israeli embassy, as they have been doing in every single Western countries, they have a lot of programs to build connections with scholars, with intellectuals, with media, and things like that. And during the war in Gaza, they were able to basically get one state-affiliated, very high-level Chinese scholar, like some type of authority type of figure, to speak in favor of them, said that everything from Gaza is just fake news. And he used the words that 0% has died in the Israeli bombardment of the Baptist hospital in Gaza because this thing just didn't happen. And that thing also did not go well because the Chinese netizens actually like figure out this is not true. And then they started to like debating him in the commenting session, and then they flooded the Israeli embassy's official commenting area on Weibo. on the platform. And it's very quite interesting that Israel, the so-called only democracy of the Middle East, somehow just like don't allow people to talk on internet. They seal off the commenting section. The Israelis have been doing that constantly. They also have connected with other embassies, especially American and German embassies in Beijing. They asked the German embassy to publish a statement saying that anyone comparing Israeli policy to that of Nazi Germany is, like, they use the word like either ignorant idiots or like malicious bastards. Those are like in quotes of diplomatic statement made and publicized by the official German embassy, which is shocking in the sense of protocol. But yeah, so they have been trying to do that thing as well, but all of those things actually like failed. It's very clearly, if you get into the internet platform of China, for example, Weibo or any other platform, you would find that it's always overwhelmingly that people pro-Palestine. And the commenting section of the Israeli embassy or consulate or related, let's say the German and the American embassies commenting area, it's all like either flooded with criticism or they just close the commenting area, which later become the norm. They just don't allow anyone to talk about them because they know that everyone's criticizing them. And one most interesting thing is that in the Chinese internet in current situation, they use this very poetic language to refer to the Palestinian fighters. And they refer to the fighters as dandelions, the flower dandelion. And the idea is like the comparison is saying that, oh, like dandelion is a plant that flies in the wind, right? Like looks similar to parachute forces or things like that. And another thing is like arguing that a dandelion is a plant that flies everywhere, and whenever it lands, it just survives and grows into another dandelion and things like that. So they use that to compare to the resilience of the Palestinian people, saying that they, whenever they broke out of the open prison of Gaza and they come back to their homeland, they will survive there. They will like manage to find their roots in their homeland. That poetic portrait of the Palestinian people and even the Palestinian armed struggle is quite interesting. It's exactly the opposite of what the Israelis want, and you will see that the more activities the Israeli embassy trying to do in China is going to like actually serve as the counterforce, stimulating those Chinese people's spontaneous glorification of the Palestinian struggle. And this dynamic is probably going to continue for a very long time. If you look at the artistic portrayal of Palestine in China in recent years, you'd be really amazed. And then the overall social atmosphere in China is just not the same with the West, right? Supporting Palestine is still the political correctness. You know, during Mao period, China was the first non-Arab global power that provided full recognition of the PLO. So China was like in one of the vanguards in that period. But in the last 40 years, it has made a lot of regress backward. But still, like even considering that, you find that in the Chinese society, still supporting Palestine is still part of the political correctness of China, still part of the Chinese mainstream society's consensus. And this consensus is getting consolidated in the recent, like in the last 1 year because of the genocide in Gaza. And then the young people are forming an even stronger pro-Palestine sentiment and creating more works on that following the genocide in Gaza.